By some measures, our economy is doing great.
Food, fuel, everything costs too much.
Both of these candidates are kind of right. Leading into the midterm elections, inflation is high, the highest in the last 40 years. And gas prices are volatile. Though they've come down recently, there's still a lot of uncertainty about where they're going next. But then again, there's incredibly low unemployment. Just look at the number of job openings right now. Things are expensive, but people are working. Yet most economists polled by the Wall Street Journal believe the U.S. is headed towards a recession in the next year.
The economy is always a big deal in any election. I mean, as James Carville once famously coined the term in 1992,
it's the economy, stupid.
This year is obviously a year where we're seeing a lot of interest, a lot of intensity and debate about the economy.
Here's how the economy actually is doing and why it matters for the November midterms.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen gas pumps and grocery store aisles in political ads this year.
Inflation is one of the big economic measures you can feel personally.
And I feel the pain too because I do the grocery shopping.
And not just at the grocery store, although the price of food has gone up more than most things. If you look at median weekly earnings, people are making less than they were during the last election, if adjusted for inflation.
Inflation is sort of taking a bite out of, what otherwise would be a fairly strong and robust economy coming out of the pandemic.
Republicans are largely blaming
Biden's reckless spending, trillions in spending,
out of control spending,
while Democrats point at
the supply chain.
More microchips here in America to get the supply chain moving again.
We'll beat inflation one chip at a time.
There's a lot of reasons for why inflation is at this super high level. It has to do with global supply chains. It has to do with the pandemic. It has to do with energy prices, the situation in Ukraine. All of that has contributed to astronomical price increases. And so both parties are trying to point to certain aspects of that bigger formula.
Another place voters have felt the economic pressure.
If you're fed up every time you fill up.
Let's take a closer look at that gas price chart. Here is where the Russian invasion of Ukraine began. Experts largely blamed that war for the initial increase, but it stayed high for a number of reasons. Republicans blame
our energy production has been crippled.
They've cratered our domestic energy production.
While Democrats blame
oil companies gouging us at the pump.
Price gouging by big oil.
Both sides have some points, but there's no sort of easy answer.
Analysts point at things beyond the Biden administration's control, like maintenance at refineries.
Some of these things just have to do with, global supply chains. Coming out of the pandemic, we're just obviously in a really weird time for the economy.
Americans' frustration over rising prices show up in arguably the most important factor going into the election: how people feel. This is the Consumer Sentiment Index. It measures how optimistic or pessimistic people are feeling about the economy. In the last 40 years, every time the president's party has lost a large number of seats in the midterms, it was after a period where Americans felt pessimistic about the economy.
You never want voters to be in a grumpy mood when you're the party in power. It's easier for them to sort of cast that ballot in opposition.
And right now, people feel worse about the economy than they even did during the Great Recession. Even though there are far fewer people filing unemployment claims today than there were during that recession. There are also more jobs being added today than even during the Great Recession's recovery. By these measures, the economy is good. But where people feel the economy the most, the grocery store and the gas station, it's not.
For voters, they're definitely hearing, the blame game from both sides, and ultimately for them, it's going to come down which party do you think has the best chance of fixing it?